Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but you know when you see imposters. We know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you walk and your talk is constant.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Death to Develop podcast. I'm the co-host, Rylan, and I'm here with
Stephen Burkhart.
And we're so excited today to be talking about kind of on the virality, if you will, of videos and how you can unleash the explosive power of social media videos with viral content. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to you.
So obviously viral content can come in many different forms. We've had different things take off for different reasons. And I think the first thing that is important to realize when it comes to virality is it's not just the content itself performing well alone. Is it shareable? Right? So there's like a level of organic reach that happens when people share it. Not only because it is affecting the algorithm, where it's like, because the algorithm knows all of these things. It knows if people are liking, commenting, sharing, and so on and so forth. But you have to realize that like when you're sharing something, that you are taking a small social risk.
Yeah.
Right? And so what we don't experiment a ton with this. But what we have heard from many prolific people in the industry who have big social media accounts is they've done a lot of experimenting in sharing a piece of information in like a graphic. And one of them has their face on it, and they're a personal brand. And the other one doesn't have their face on it. It's just like the fact and maybe like some other fun graphical things. And they've actually found that the one without their face performs better. Now, we know from like an authenticity standpoint that having your face on it is better because it adds to the personalness of the brand. It adds, authenticity is the killer of vanilla. And so having that be a part of that is important. But it's also important to realize that virality is a part of the equation too. And having just authentic content but not viral content doesn't do you a ton of good. And it's totally okay to have a little bit of both, right? And so experiment for yourselves. Try posting something with your logo prominently and then your logo not there at all maybe. And see how that works and see how the shares go. Maybe do some like A/B testing where you produce the same thing in two different ways and share it and see what happens, because sharing it is going to continue to build that momentum, because I could share it to you and then you could share it to your friends and then your friends share it to their friends. And now we've got like many layers deep where like someone who would never see my content is now seeing it because it's something that you would want to share and that I wanted to share with you and your friends wanted to share with their friends. And not all content is like that. And so I think asking yourself when you're making it, is this shareable, is going to go a long way in creating viral content.
Yeah, definitely. And going along with that, like it's not always necessarily is it shareable or not. Sometimes the algorithm also plays a big factor into that.
It sure does.
And whether or not people even get to see it to share it, So finding those times, doing like an hour of research can really be so beneficial to your business and the shareability of your posts, because sometimes you'll share something and be like, oh, this is so great, it's going to get so many likes, so many shares, so many comments. You get nothing, right? You get like 10 views, and that's such a bummer and a bad feeling. And sometimes you share at a time where it's like peak hours and you're like, oh yeah, and same thing, sometimes it's hit or miss with some stuff. So it's not always a matter of like shareability. It's a matter of like looking up, taking the time to make sure when you're posting, stuff is going to get seen so that it can get shared, right? So that's one big thing that I would comment on.
Well, and we've literally experienced this where you were not joking. We've posted videos that have gotten like hilariously small amount of view count.
Yes.
We've discarded them out of our feed, saved them into our profile, then reposted them like half an hour later, an hour later.
Yes.
1,000 views.
It's insane. It's crazy.
And I know 1,000 is not like a big crazy number, but I mean, we're talking about like a 10 times exponential growth on those videos for conceivably no reason at all. And so I think that's the other thing is like the algorithms, like they have like you have good practices, right? Like so the experimenting on like whether or not it's shareable, picking peak times, but there's also just like the little black box of like I don't know why that happened that way, but it did. And so, you know, you can either spend your time being sad about it or just like try other things and see how it worked. Because there's plenty of content that we were like, why is this like not getting seen by anyone? 10 views?
Yeah.
Like we have enough follower count that like we should have more than 10 views.
Yeah.
And then we repost and it's like 1,000. It's like, okay, what happened?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. And not only that, but there's the algorithm and all of these other things. And then there's also like the relatability factor of it, right? Whether or not your audience relates to it. And I recently was working for kind of like a college, and I was doing some of the social media stuff, and I shared this really high quality video that I spent so long making, and I thought it was so great, and I was so excited to present it to the audience, and it got maybe like 3,000 views, and I think our audience following was about 12,000. So 3,000 was like, you know, it was a knife to the chest. And then I made a meme, and it got 20,000 views. And I was like, are you kidding me? That took me 10 seconds to make, and it took me like 20 seconds to come up with the idea. And so I was so hurt. But people related to the meme that I made more than the video, even though the video was way cooler. The audience just resonated with the meme. So it was that relatability factor of, especially with college students, they were like, this is so funny. Right. I think the meme was, we were promoting like a movie night that we were having, and it was Top Gun. And I did that little scene where he's like dancing. Oh, yeah. And it was a gumball meme where he like opened the door and he like got caught, and it was the little screen. But it was, it went nice. Like super, super kind of like viral, and got shared a lot more than my other video. So it's that relatability factor of it too. And
because it was more shareable.
It was a lot more shareable. Yeah, people thought it was a lot funnier. And
I'm sure your video was awesome.
It was awesome, and I wish that more people saw it. But, you know, it's hit or miss. And maybe I just posted it at the wrong time. You know, you never know.
Delete it, repost it.
Yeah, maybe we'll try.
Yeah, and I think, you know, you bring up a good point that I'd love to hear you speak a little bit more on, since you seem to do this really well, which is like the trends. Mm-hmm. Right? Because of the fact that like you're literally in the midst of a period where people are sharing and viewing a specific kind of content. So like, for example, like the conversations I have with people around hashtags is like, think about a hashtag as a feed, right? And so everyone who's in that hashtag is essentially just creating a feed that you're watching, right? And so like, and it works the same way with Instagram as TikTok and all those others. Like you click on it and it populates all the videos that have that hashtag. Mm-hmm. And so if it's trending, people are going to be looking for that specifically. So talk us a little bit about like, how do we navigate trends? Like when should we jump on them? Like just walk us through that. Yeah.
So for trends, sometimes it's hard to like navigate where they are as far as trending. Sometimes you find audios that you're like, oh, this has so much potential. I remember I found this audio, I want to say like a year or two ago on TikTok, and I was like, this has so much potential. And so I made a video on it, and I thought it was so funny, and just kind of flopped. Like it didn't really go anywhere. And then about a month later, the audio blew up. So I think that I had just hopped onto the trend too early. Whereas if I had gotten like right in that middle ground when everyone like was starting to use it and it was building that momentum, whereas in those early beginning stages, it's like pushing a boulder up a hill a little bit before it goes down. So sometimes you like gotta wait when it's like right at the top and you're like, okay, time to hop on. And then it'll kind of, you know, take off. But
how do you know that?
When you go, I think one major thing that I find is helpful is when you go onto, I know that TikTok does this. I believe Reels does it as well. But you can see how many people have used the audio. And I find that the sweet spot is around like 7,000 to like 15,000. That's about where it is. Once it hits like above that 15,000 mark, it should be like taken off pretty well from there. Yeah. But once it's around like 100,000, it's only going to keep building. Even 100,000, like sometimes that's a small number for TikTok or Instagram. So once it gets around there, it gets a little harder to be seen. Whereas when you're at like 15 or 20K, more people are likely to see it. Once you hit 1 million, it's pretty hard, but it's the virality of it, right? Like people are obviously liking this audio, and so they're making videos to it. And so maybe you can use something that's at 1 million views. It'll do great. Maybe it'll flop, you know?
Right. Yeah. I think there's like, I talked about it a long time ago, which is like in relation, the conversation I was having with it initially was like, new platforms, right? Like when you have a new platform, there's a window of opportunity where like the amount of people who are on it is small enough that like you can actually get like seen much, much, much easier because in that pool you're a big fish, right? And I think the same thing is what you're talking about with TikTok Reels, TikToks or Reels. Pretty soon I'm going to say the Facebook, like some sort of old person. But whether it's a TikTok or a Reel, it's going to be like, is it catching on? And then am I jumping off early enough that like I'm actually going to be seen, because there's not a million other pieces of content from much more popular people that I have no chance in winning the battle of being seen over.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes it's not always necessarily the audio too. Like I know for businesses, one big struggle is you can't use copyrighted music. So it's a matter of kind of seeing the visual trends of everyone else and being able to copy that without using that audio. So sometimes maybe it's like a day in the life video, but you can't use the audio that everyone else is using. So you like use, a non-copyrighted video or non-copyrighted audio, and you're able to still be on that trend that's taking off without, crossing any boundaries, any legal boundaries.
Boom. Don't want to do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
That goes back to our controversy episode, right? We only use copyrighted material. Just kidding. Don't do that. It's definitely, it's just, it's just back to that experimenting. You just got to try different stuff. And, you were too early of an adopter one time. You know what I mean?
It's too early on the trend.
You, right. But then there's also the same thing where like, it's too late. Like you were talking about, there was another episode, our very first episode, actually, we talked about a Jennifer Lawrence meme that we did that just did wildly better than all our other content by thousands of % better. And it was like a 2-day peak.
Yeah.
Right. And so you just never know what's going to be. And I think that the exciting thing for a business owner is like, you don't have to be a video producer to make these things, right? Like we're just telling you them, we love to make them for you, right? We literally started Burkhardt Creative Agency to be able to like relieve the pressure of like having to stay on this treadmill, and then we stay on the treadmill for you, right? But you can make them. You can make these videos. Yeah. You can make these viral videos. Like you use Instagram just as much as we do. Like we're just looking through the same feeds, and you can jump on these things too. And the difference is like some business owners are so swamped doing their own business that they just don't have time to flip through Instagram Reels and make them. Understandable, right? You can only focus on so many things at a time. And and I think like I even look at our own virality thing. Like we were on Threads, we posted a couple things. I haven't posted much since then, just because it's not. I don't think anyone has. Well, I don't know if anyone has, but at the same time, it's like you can only succeed in so many different areas. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like we have client work, we cannot like break ground in every single new platform, but we certainly check them out because why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's kind of our
Have
job.
fun with it.
Yeah, I think so. I threaded.
I was in the thread pool.
I'm a threader. Thread pool.
Thread pool.
That's fantastic.
We dipped our toes in the water.
Yeah, we did. So anyway, if you have had great success in navigating trends, we'd love to hear what you've done that's worked so wonderfully. And maybe you'd like to get a little bit of help on, maybe it's not so much that you don't understand that this trending stuff is going to make your company go viral. Maybe you're having a challenge making that on brand for your brand. How do I navigate these trends in a way that is thoughtful and interesting and intentional and on brand for me? We'd love to help you with that too. Feel free to reach out to us, shoot us a message, shoot us an email, comment, however it's going to work on the platform this is on and you're on. Just reach out to us. We'd love to be of help to you and see you succeed on this journey. It's why we're on here. We want to see business owners succeed and achieve their dreams as we go to achieve ours. So thank you for watching the Death of Vanilla podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found some actionables that'll take your business to the next level so that you courageously create, boldly innovate, and experiment. Thank you for watching.
Wanna cause no problems. I just wanna live my life, but I keep on hearing about nonsense. Me and my dons ain't mobsters, but when you see imposters, we know how to read them faces, same way you know how to read them comments. If you wanna talk, let's talk, but around here, make sure you're walking your talk is constant.